Hey guys, and welcome to week 7 of the P4G The Next Generation. Last week we pretty much got destroyed by Matt O'Shea and his Montreal Melodics. But this week we're facing off against Aaron 2-for-20 and his Calgary Infernapes. So hopefully we will be able to end our losing streak and win this match. But Aaron's got a really scary team. He's got, well, first Menifee. Menifee is just a really scary mon. If that thing is able to set up a tail glow and, well, my team is weakened, it can pretty much sweep me. My best switch in for it is Empoleon, but again, if that thing is weakened, he might just be able to sweep me right there. So that thing is really scary. I definitely gotta watch out for it. I'm pretty sure he's gonna bring it because it's just such a good mon. Next up is Florges. That thing is a pretty good cleric, pretty good defensive mon, can wish pass, heal bell, can go for Moonblast and stuff like that. I think he's gonna bring it because I have Latios and that thing takes Latios psychic moves reasonably well and is of course immune to its Draco Meteors, and he might actually bring it as well for Mega Lopunny since it resists my my fighting type moves. He's also got Alolan Ninetales. I'm pretty sure he's gonna bring that thing because it can go for Aurora Veil, and that is just really helpful for his team. It helps Menifee set up and stuff like that. He could also maybe bring a Scarf Ninetales since it outspeeds Latios and Lopunny and can then just hit them with a Moonblast. So yeah, Alolan Ninetales can be pretty scary, especially if it brings Light Clay Aurora Veil, which I'm pretty sure it will. Next is Donphan. Donphan is a really good defensive mon. It has Rapid Spin, can set up rocks, has a pretty good attack stat. I'm not sure what the exact number is, but I'm pretty sure it's somewhere above the 100. So yeah, EQs from that thing can hit really hard. Especially if it's potentially a more offensive set with max attack adamant. Also has priority in Ice Shard. Against my team, Donphan has a reasonable matchup. If he's gonna bring Donphan, I'm predicting a more defensive set for Lopunny, maybe with a Rocky Helmet or something. Next up is Incineroar. Incineroar is a really interesting mon. I think he has to bring it because it's his only ghost resist, and otherwise Chandelure would pretty much destroy him. Incineroar is also pretty helpful against Latios since, well, of course it's a dark type and takes my psychics. So yeah, I'm thinking he's gonna bring Incineroar. If he's gonna bring it, I'm predicting an AV set since it takes, well, as I said, moves from Latios and Chandelure better. But a Scarf set is also possible since then it outspeeds Latios, but I'm more predicting an Assault Vest. Next up is Stunfisk. This pancake fish thingy is pretty bulky actually, is a pretty good mon. I think it gets rocks, toxic, discharge, what is called, earth power, so yeah, it can be pretty useful, I feel like. Yeah, I could see him bring Stunfisk. I could also see him bring a more defensive Stunfisk, hoping to paralyze Mega Lopunny because of its static ability. But now we get to his ultra pick, and that is Aegislash, and Aegislash is just, well, such a good mon. It can run a number of different sets, special, SD, or just defensive. It has, of course, its signature move King Shield. That is really useful, especially against Mega Lopunny, since it can just go for, well, King Shield on my high jump kick, and I will take crash damage. So yeah, Aegislash is pretty scary. I do have some options for it, but even still, I really gotta watch out for it. Next up is Buzzwole. That thing is also really scary. I'm pretty scared of it actually, because it gets really good coverage in Ice Punch, Drain Punch, Leech Life, all those moves, Earthquake as well. It is also pretty bulky, so it's pretty hard to take down, especially in physical defense. It also hits really hard. Choice Banded Buzzwole pretty much 2-hit KOs my entire team, I feel like. But I'm more scared actually of a Choice Scarf Buzzwole, since that thing will outspeed Latios and, well, pretty much my entire team. A Sub Buzzwole can also be really scary, maybe Sub Punch, so yeah, really gotta watch out for Buzzwole. I feel like he's gonna bring it because I have Mega Lopunny, but he could also refrain from bringing it because I have Latios. So yeah, I'm not really too certain, but it's definitely scary against my team. Now we get to Crobat. That thing is just really fast. It outspeeds pretty much my entire team except for Mega Lopunny, but for that maybe he could bring a Scarf Crobat to outspeed Mega Lopunny. That's also a possibility. Yeah, I'm pretty certain he's gonna bring it because it got a reasonably good matchup against my team. I don't really have any good switch in for it. A Banded Brave Bird pretty much destroys my entire team. But next up is Xatu. I really love Xatu because it gets really good coverage in Heat Wave. It also gets U-turn. Of course it has the magic bounce ability, which is what makes this Pokemon so great, bouncing back all those hazards and toxics and stuff. But I don't think he's gonna bring Xatu though, because I have Bisharp and... well, I feel like it doesn't really have the best matchup against my team. So he might bring it, but I don't really think so. Now we get to his last one, and that is Tropius. I'm not too familiar with Tropius. I know it gets Defog. Not sure what else it gets. Again, I'm not really too familiar with it. But I don't think he's gonna bring it because, well, I don't think it has the best matchup against my team. But now we get to his Z Crystal, and that is the Ghost EMZ. That thing is pretty much only there for Aegislash. That thing can just go for a never-ending nightmare. And just hits really hard, especially if it is able to set up an SD. But anyway, that was it for his team. Let's get right to my team right now. So to start off, I'm bringing Lopunny with Return, Drain Punch, Iron Tail and Substitute. I'm bringing Drain Punch over High Jump Kick because of Aegislash King Shield. That thing can be really problematic if it goes for King Shield and I take recoil damage. So Drain Punch would be more useful for that. He also has pretty good, what it's called, fighting resist like Florges and well, what is called Buzzwole. So yeah, I just felt like High Jump Kick wouldn't be too useful, and Drain Punch would be better because I also gain recovery from that. So yeah, we're bringing Drain Punch, Return, just best normal step, and Iron Tail is there for Florges. Maybe we can catch that thing with an Iron Tail, or if it's weakened, finish it off with an Iron Tail. We have to land it though. Iron Tail has pretty poor accuracy, so that is also a gamble. But our last move is Substitute. If I am able to set up a Substitute, Lopunny might actually be really able to put in work, since he doesn't really have the best switches against Lopunny. So yeah, that is it for Lopunny's moves. As for its EVs, it's pretty standard. We're bringing enough speed to outspeed max speed Crobat by 1 point, and just the remainder in attack and HP. So yeah, nothing too special about it. Next up is Bisharp though. We're bringing an Assault Vest Bisharp this week. Because I couldn't fit SD on this set, and well, since I only have damaging moves, I just thought Assault Vest would fit on Bisharp. It also allows us to potentially live a +3 Scald from from Manaphy. But that might come in really clutch. Iron Head is there for Florges. Brick Break is there to hit Incineroar, as well as break through the Auroraville from Ninetales. That might be really useful. Our other moves are just Knockoff and Sucker Punch for priority, Knockoff, best stab move. As for our EVs, we're bringing enough speed to outspeed max speed Incineroar and Aegislash, and the remainder is just put in attack and HP, just like with Mega Lopunny. So yeah, that's it for Bisharp. Next up is Circuitry. We're bringing Psychium Zeke Circuitry this week again, because I really feel like that once his team is weakened and I am able to set up, I might just sweep his team, because he doesn't have a resist to electric type moves, only immunities, namely Stunfisk and Donphan, and I can hit those with Energy Ball. Yeah, if I am able to get up a Tail Glow and, well, maybe go for Z-Hypnosis and boost my speed, I might actually be able to sweep his team once it is weakened. So yeah, that's it for his moves. As for my EVs, I'm bringing enough speed to outspeed Jolly Buzzwole, and just the remainder in Spatak and HP. So yeah, I'm really hoping Circuitry will put in work. I really feel like it has a good matchup against his team, so I'm counting on Circuitry to do its best in this match. Next up is Gliscor, because I really needed a pivot to take physical attacks. Gliscor is pretty much my best switch into Choice Banded Crobat's Brave Bird, so yeah, I really needed to bring Gliscor. We're bringing Earthquake, Knockoff, because I really want to knock off items, and Knockoff is my only way really to... well, Knockoff is a way, not my only way, but is a way to hit Crobat. Roost is there of course for recovery, and I'm also bringing Stealth Rock because I feel like Rocks might come in really clutch in this match, especially wearing down the Ninetales and the Incineroar. Wearing down Incineroar is really important for my last man, which I will get to in a minute. And as for our EVs, we're bringing the standard HP set. We're bringing 68 in speed, because that way we outspeed Incineroar and Aegislash as well, just like with Bisharp. The remainder is just put in defense with the Impish Nature to take moves from, well, Crobat better, as well as Incineroar. But my next one I'm bringing is Empoleon with Scald, Roar, Toxic and Defog. Empoleon, I pretty much had to bring that thing because it's my only switch into Manaphy really, and it also walls Ninetales, so that is pretty nice. So yeah, as I said, we're bringing Scald, best water type move. Roar is there to phase out the Manaphy. If that thing tries to set up in my face, I can just roar it out. Toxic is there to potentially wear down the Manaphy as well as the Florges, so that is pretty useful. And Defog is there just to get rid of hazards, but also to remove the Aurora Veil, since Defog also does that, so that can be really nice. As for our EVs, I'm bringing enough speed to, well, I speed crapped a Donphan. If that thing has some speed investment, I do outspeed it, so that is pretty nice. As for our other EVs, just max HP and the remainder just put in Spadef, as I said, just to take moves from Manaphy better. Yeah, that's it for Empoleon. It's pretty important to keep this thing healthy, because otherwise Manaphy will be a really big problem against my team. But last but not least is Chandelure. As I said, he doesn't really have a good ghost switch and he only has one ghost resistant Incineroar, and once that thing is gone, Chandelure might actually be able to really put in work against him. We're bringing the Casse Berry since that has the damage taken from super effective ghost type moves, so that will be really useful against Aegislash's potential Shadow Sneak. We're also bringing Infiltrator instead of Flash Fire. I just thought Flash Fire wasn't really necessary, and Infiltrator allows us to ignore the Aurora Veil, so that is really useful. As for our moves, we're bringing Flamethrower. I didn't really want to miss Fire Blasts. Shadow Ball, as I said, doesn't really have a good ghost switch in, so Shadow Ball is really important. Energy Ball is there to hit the Donphan, as well as the Stunfisk and of course the Manaphy. And last but not least is Flame Charge. Getting a +1 speed will be just really nice against his team. As for our EVs, we're bringing pretty much the regular offensive EV spread. I needed to bring Timid max speed because that way I can outspeed max speed Buzzwole. The remainder was just put in Spectac just to hit as hard as possible. But yeah, that's it for my team. I really hope we will be able to snag the W right here, because I don't really want to lose for the third time in a row. So yeah, anyway, let's get right to the battle. Okay, so here's the battle. First off, I want to give a big shout out to Blue Rogue for recording my match and jetting my team this week. Now though, let's have a look at the team my opponent brought this week. He brought a Stunfisk, the Alolan Ninetales, the Aegislash, Incineroar, Florges and Manaphy. So I predicted a lot of these. I predicted the latter 5. I was kinda surprised to see Stunfisk. I was more expecting to see the Crobat, but he brought Stunfisk instead, so that wasn't really too bad. Because I'd rather face this Stunfisk than the Crobat. So looking at the team matchup, Chandelure could really put in work once Incineroar was gone, so I wanted to lead off with Gliscor, because I would be able to set up my rocks, and that would really help in wearing down the Incineroar, because once Incineroar is down he doesn't really have any switch-ins to a Shadow Ball from Chandelure. Also, if he led with Manaphy or Alolan Ninetales, I would have had a safe switching into Empoleon, so that wasn't really too bad. So I decided to lead off with Gliscor. I wanted to set up my rocks, as he leads off with the Roadkill the Stunfisk. So that wasn't really a bad lead at all for me, because I can just set up my rocks. So I pressed rocks right here, but I immediately thought, what if the Stunfisk has the HP Ice? Because that could certainly be a possibility. But I set up my rocks, but as you guys can see, he does pack the HP Ice. And as you guys can see, it does a lot of damage, but it doesn't kill me. So that is fortunate for me. My Toxic Orb gets activated. Now I just go for the Roost, because I want to get up to full again, and HP Ice will do less now because I lost my flying typing. So it isn't really too bad. He goes for another HP Ice right here, but since I went for Roost, it doesn't do a lot. Oh well, it still does a chunk, but doesn't do as much anymore as it did earlier. I think I go for Roost again, just to have my HP be maxed out, and if I went for an attack or something, he could kill me with HP Ice, and I wasn't willing to let that happen. So I am up to full again, I'm trying to say, and he sets up his rocks right here. So both sides have their rocks up right now. I went for EQ right here. I didn't really have a mon that could take this thing on. EQ would do a lot. I was hoping it would 2-hit KO this thing, but as you guys can see, it doesn't. So that pretty much confirms he is, or he has a lot of physical defense. He goes for another HP Ice, does a lot again, but I can just go for Roost after. He does reveal the Leftover, so that isn't really too bad, but it kind of stinks because he gains recovery each turn. So I went for Roost, but he actually predicts that and switches out right here into not Firefox the Alolan Ninetales. So yeah, that was a pretty safe switch on his part, because Earthquake wouldn't really hurt this thing a lot, and well, Roost was the most obvious play. I went for Roost, the hill is up, and now I'm kinda in a pickle because he's now able to just go for a free Aurora Veil, and that will be a problem. I have to switch out right here. I get buffeted by the hill, but Fortunately for me, I do have the Toxic Orb, so I am up to full again. I switch out right here into my Empoleon, my best switch into this thing. And if he wants to go for Auroraville, I can defog it away. So my Empoleon is in right now, and he does go for the Auroraville. So yeah, all of my attacks on his mons get halved, so that sucks. So I have to go for defog right here just to get rid of the Veil. I do get rid of my own rocks, and that kinda sucks, but I also get rid of his, and I am able just to, well, maybe able to get up my rocks again, so it isn't really a big problem. He does switch out right here and goes into the Stunfisk again, as I go for the defog, getting rid of both rocks and the Auroraville, which was the most important. So yeah, that is great. I can just go for a Scald after this turn, because according to my calcs, it seems like Scald is a roll on the Stunfisk. He is at about half HP, and I'm not sure what the exact percentages were from Scald, but it did seem like a... it did seem that the next one would be a kill, even though I would need to get a max roll, but I decided just to risk it, so I went for the Scald right here. And as you guys can see, I am able to kill the Stunfisk, but because I got a crit. So initially I wasn't sure if the crit mattered, because it was a roll after all, but apparently I learned after the match that Stunfisk was out of range of a Scald, so that really sucked for my opponent, because he would have gotten some chip damage off on my Empoleon, which would have come really clutch in this match. So yeah, that is some unfortunate hacks for my opponent. He now goes into the Manaphy, sets up with the Tail Glow, but I just went for the Roar because I couldn't allow this thing to set up in my face, because Manaphy is just such a threat. So I am able to phase this thing out, and he goes into the Florges right now. That isn't really too bad for me, because Florges can't really touch me, and I can just safely go for a Toxic right here. Getting this Florges Toxic will be really useful in helping this thing get low. He goes for the Protect right here to scout, pretty smart of him. So yeah, he protects, Toxic doesn't work. Here I actually predict him to switch out, predicting him to think that I'm going for a Toxic again. So he goes into Aegis Slash as I go for a Scald, so I did get the play right, that was really nice. Scald isn't gonna do much though. I was hoping for a burn, but unfortunately I don't get it. Here I switch out into my Gliscor, because I kinda want to scout for the Sacred Sword. Sacred Sword would hurt a lot on my Empoleon, so Gliscor can just take that, and Gliscor can take pretty much any of his moves if he's physically offensive. He does reveal the Sacred Sword, and I am able to just eat that, so that isn't a big problem, and that kinda reveals that he is physically offensive instead of specially offensive, which helps because that means he really can't touch Gliscor. He switches out right here into his Alolan Ninetales as I fire off a knockoff, I'm pretty sure. The Snow Warning gets activated, of course. Let's have a look. I went for the... Yeah, I did go for the knockoff, yeah, because knockoff would have hurt Aegis Slash, as well as the knocked off any item of the Alolan Ninetales or the Manaphy, which would have really helped. And he now loses his Light Clay, so Auroraville won't be on the field as long as it otherwise would, which really helps. I have to switch out right here though, because Alolan Ninetales is in again, but I do have a safe switch into Empoleon, as he goes for Auroraville again, but I can just defog it away, so that isn't a problem at all. These past few turns I basically have just switched between Empoleon and Gliscor. These two Pokemon really have helped during this match, because they have just such good synergy together, and they just form a really good defensive core. He has to switch out right here because he fears the potential Flash Cannon, but I just went for the defog just to get rid of the screens. Or the Veil, I mean. Incineroar is in right now as I go for the defog. That means I have to switch out again, because an Earthquake on this thing would really hurt, as well as a Flare Blitz, and I don't want to get my... or have my Empoleon get weakened, because it really needs to be healthy for the Manaphy. So after my leftovers recovery, I switch right out here again into the Gliscor, because it's pretty much my best switch into this thing. He goes for the knockoff, I believe. Yeah, he does go for the knockoff, trying to knock off my item. So he knocks off my Toxic Orb, but that doesn't matter at all, because I already got Toxic. So yeah, losing my item doesn't hurt at all. I can just safely go for a Stealth Rock or an Earthquake. I think I went for the Earthquake though, because I wanted to potentially kill this thing or have his team get weakened. He does go into the Manaphy right now as I go for the... Yeah, I do go for the Earthquake, I thought so. Earthquake will do a solid amount on this Manaphy, not too much, but it's good enough for me. Getting this Manaphy weakened is pretty important because I want to have this thing get in range for my Lopunny to finish it off. Here I have to switch out though and go back into my Empoleon again. So as I said, basically back and forth again from Empoleon into Gliscor and back to Empoleon again. He goes for the Tail Glow right here, so that is pretty scary. He can now hit me pretty hard with the Energy Ball. As you guys can see, it does a solid amount even though I'm almost max Pidef. I went for the Roar right here because I can't allow this thing to be at +3 on the field. He gets phased out into the Aegislash though, but I do have a safe switch in again into my Gliscor just to deal with this thing. So I switch out right here into my Gliscor as he goes for the... I'm not sure what move he goes for. I think he goes for Sacred Sword again, I'm not entirely sure though, let's have a quick look. So yeah, he changes his form into his Blade form and... Oh, he goes for the Shadow Claw actually, not the Sacred Sword. So Shadow Claw does some more damage, but I am still able to take that reasonably well. And now I can just force this thing out again. He goes for the King Shield right here as I go for the Stealth Rock, I'm pretty sure. Or I went for the EQ, that I really can't remember anymore. But either way it doesn't really matter because Aegislash is basically always forced out by me. I did go for the EQ, so Stealth Rock would have been the better play because I wouldn't have wasted a turn basically. I think I go for the Stealth Rock now and he switches out right now into the Manaphy. No, he goes into 4U, the Florges, yeah. So Florges is in right now, that is a, well, kind of a problem. Oh, I didn't go for the Stealth Rock apparently, I'm sorry, I can't remember all these turns anymore. It's been a while since I played this game, but EQ does a solid amount to this Florges. Well, not really, it did almost nothing, but damage is damage I guess. But Florges is in right now and that is kinda a problem because he can just Wish up and Wish pass into any of his other mons, I'm trying to say. I went for the Stealth Rock idea, predicting the Wish, as he does go for the Wish. I thought it wasn't really worth going for the Earthquake because he would just get wished up and, well, that would kind of be a waste of a turn. So at least my rocks are up, which will be really helpful against his team. He switches out right here as I made a double. Actually, I went into my Empoleon because I was predicting the switch into Manaphy since I thought he would want his Manaphy to be healthy. And as you guys can see, he goes into Shami's Girl, the Manaphy, so I did get the play right. Manaphy is in right now, he does take rocks damage, but that doesn't matter because he's up to full again because of the Wish, so that kinda sucks. I go for the Roar again because I can't really allow this thing, as I said earlier, to set up. So I go for the Roar as he goes for the Energy Ball this time, so predicting my Roar I think. But Roar was pretty much my best play. I could have went for the Toxic actually, but I couldn't risk him setting up. I roar him out into the Alolan Ninetales, so that is a really good turn for me because Alolan Ninetales can't really touch me. I went for the Scald right here, as Scald would knock this thing out and it would hit anything that wanted to switch in, so that was nice. I get some leftovers recovery, which is also nice, so I go for the Scald right here, as I said, as he fires off the Blizzard this time. So he doesn't try to set up his Veil, but goes for the Blizzard instead, but that does nothing. It is 4 times resisted and I'm Spadef, so yeah, Blizzard did nothing. And I go for the Scald and I am able to knock the Ninetales out. So our first Pokemon, well, not our first Pokemon, but our opponent's first Pokemon is finally down, so things are looking good for me. Empoleon is getting kinda low though, and that is kinda a problem because he needs to be healthy for the Manaphy. Incineroar comes in right now and I pretty much have to switch out right here because I can't allow Empoleon to get further weakened, so I go into the Gliscor again. Incineroar goes for the Flame Charge, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, he does go for the Flame Charge, so he's boosting his speed. It doesn't do a lot, but he does have the speed boost. I just went for the EQ after this because I needed to get rid of the Incineroar for my Chandelure to put in work, and this was, well, the perfect opportunity. My rocks were already up, so Earthquake was pretty much my only play. He does go for the Flare Blitz, so he decides to sack off his Incineroar in order to weaken my Gliscor, but as you guys can see, Flare Blitz does almost nothing, and I go for the Earthquake, which is able to knock out the Incineroar. So things are really looking good for me. He's now 2 months down, so 4 left. But while his Incineroar is gone right now, he does now have a free switch into his Manaphy, and Manaphy is pretty much able just to set up against my Gliscor, and that is pretty scary because Empoleon is weakened, so he won't be able to live a +3 energy buff on his Manaphy. So we're not out of the woods yet, because here is the Manaphy as I said, and he's able to just go for a free Tail Glow. I just went for the Earthquake because I wanted to get this thing weakened for my Lopunny. That was basically my only play really. So I go for the Earthquake, and as you guys can see, it doesn't do enough for Lopunny to knock it out with a return. If I had High Jump Kick, then I would have been able to knock it out, but I'm running Drain Punch this week, so that kinda sucks. It isn't in range for return, and he's now able to knock me out with the Ice Beam. Even at neutral I wouldn't be able to live an Ice Beam. So Gliscor is down and Manaphy is on the field at +3, and that is really scary. I have to go into my Bisharp right here. Because I'm Assault Vest, I have a chance to live a +3 Scald, but he does reveal the Surf, so he doesn't have Scald but Surf, so yeah, I was pretty certain I would get knocked out right here. But as you guys can see, I do live on 2, and that was actually really crazy. Apparently he didn't have max attack investment, so that was why I was able to live this move. It was still a roll though, but it was really fortunate for me. I am able to knock this Manaphy out with a Sucker Punch, and now he only has this Florges left. And his Aegis Slash, I'm pretty sure. He sends out the Florges right here, but I can just go for an Iron Head on this thing. So yeah, some really lucky turns. If he had gotten the roll on my Bisharp, he might actually have been able to win, because what's it called? Lopunny would have been able to knock it out, Empoleon would have died, and I'm not sure what my other mom was, but I'm pretty sure I wouldn't have been able to beat the Manaphy. Here I predict the King Shield from the Aegis Slash, so I went for Sucker Punch. If he wanted to attack me, I would have gotten off some damage, and if he went for King Shield, I would have gotten the attack drop. So it was pretty much a no drawback play. I go for the knockoff right here, which is able to knock out the Aegis Slash, and yeah, we managed to win the game. So this was a really good game. There was definitely some hacks though. The Scald crit on the Stunfisk definitely mattered, because if he would have gotten chip damage off on my Empoleon, he might actually have been able to just clean me up with the Manaphy, because Empoleon would have been even lower if not KO'd. But yeah, unfortunately for him that happened. Bisharp did manage to get a mini sweep there at the end, so that was really nice. So we got ourselves a nice 5-0 win. We're now 5-2, so we ended our losing streak, so that is really nice. But yeah, GG to Aaron, definitely go check out his channel, it's in the description down below. But yeah, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you guys later. Bye!